6 minutes now before the top of the hour. For months, the White House has taken heat for refusing to call ISIS terrorists what they are, and they are Islamic extremists. This morning, one former believer is tackling that controversy head on.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali is currently on al-Qaeda's most wanted list for crimes against Islam, the same hit list that targeted the 10 journalists killed in the Charlie Hebdo attacks. Joining us now is journalist and author of the new book, Heretic, Why Islam Needs a Reformation Now. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on.
So in this book, you have your story and what you've been through. You are someone that is speaking because you have gone through this in your life, suffering from yourself, mutilation, acts of violence, and now on al-Qaeda's hit list.
They killed the producer of the movie about your entire life.
Well, they killed my friend Theo van Gogh. And there are a lot of people who, in the name of Islam, are killing. They're killing women, they're killing children, they're committing acts of atrocities. And in this book, what I'm saying is the solution to the problem is not to deny that there is a problem, because denial is not a strategy. The solution to the problem is to say, what is it in Islam, in this theology, that needs to change to separate politics from religion? What is it in Islam that needs to change to make it peaceful and tolerant? And in this book, I'm describing, the 5 key concepts that I would change, but I invite any Muslim to change whatever it is within the Islam that they would like to change.
What you also offer in the book, I'm sorry, Kimberly, what you also offer in the book is you see hope. You see things are about to change.
Yeah.
And in life, we know things change when they absolutely have to. Well, they have to, quickly. What hardcore changes do you see?
Well, first of all, I see a growing number of individuals within Islam who are calling for that change, who are saying, let's blame the Jews, let's stop blaming America, let's stop blaming these external factors. I have an appendix of names of those individuals who are saying let's change. Some of them are really doing it at the risk of their own lives.
Sure. And
I'm saying we in the West, we need to help those who want to change and ally with them instead of the ones who are against change.
And you said there are 3 groups of individuals within the Muslim faith. There are the reformers like yourself, and then there's other people that want to have just strict adherence to the Quran and follow that directly and live their life the way they see it.
Exactly, and they take the Quran like a manual. And, if the Quran says in this verse, go kill the infidels, then they go and kill the infidels. Go and, beat up the women and put them indoors, then they do it. And I think it's time that large mass, the ones I call the Mecca Muslims, that we pull them towards the side of the reformers, because the reformers are saying we don't have to do those things.
You know what? We see the Egyptian president. We see 1 or 2 prime ministers here and a person there. But do we see any formal base? The way ISIS grew and became this cancer, why don't we see a vaccine that's going to grow the same way with the same people and the same passion?
Look, last week on Wednesday, there was an attack in a museum in Tunisia.
Yes.
And what we're seeing in Tunisia, so I find that, the one country that still is sort of a beacon of hope, there's a secular movement, a secular government, a secular constituency that is fighting the radicals, the Islamists. And I see the same group of secular people in Egypt. I even see them in Saudi Arabia, of all places. I think a large number of the Iranian population wants change. It's just really a matter of, okay, what needs to change and how do we organize
You're
for that
saying,
change?
too, it's twofold. It can't just, yes, we have to fight them militarily, but it's also a reformation of ideas, an awakening, bringing them into the modern age. And you have been fearless in your battle, your fight, courageous to do so, especially on behalf of women's rights. What I find shocking is that other women that have position and influence in the media, in politics, why aren't the feminists, why aren't they coming forward to support you in your battle to save women's lives from these horrible atrocities that are happening to them?
I think because they're afraid of being accused of being white and, imposing their white values on women. But the women who marched in Afghanistan when this, a 27-year-old girl was killed, she was lynched by a mob of men. And what gives me hope is that Afghani women activists actually went out and showed their
carried the casket.
They carried the casket, which is against tradition.
Right.
And so you can see the same impulse. In Egypt, there are women who are fighting sexual harassment. In Saudi Arabia, there are women fighting for the right to drive. Right. It's changing. So, there's hope.
I hope there's hope, much more than a few years ago, even though it's never been worse. The world is blowing up from the Middle East to North Africa. So are you saying that from the outside, as a mostly Christian country, but we're not based on religion, are we better off staying away, or are we better off inserting what we believe is right?
I believe in American leadership. I think that if we just pull out and leave the world to be the world, we're going to have more messes like Yemen, like Syria, and I really
But don't we
believe...
also provide ourselves to being a target? If we go in there, okay, we agree on one thing, we hate those guys.
We'll be a bigger target, we'll have a bigger mess on our hands if, you know, we refuse to take the lead. And I think the world is better off led by the United States of America than any other country and than any other set of ideas. And here's where it comes to, you know, ideas. And it's in this book I try to explain it's time to change, and then what do you replace those ideas with? And I believe in the ideas of freedom. I believe in the ideas of economic prosperity and in life before death, life now.
Right.
Instead of life after death.
And I got to ask you, you know, I'm watching you with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show, and he's trying to say, well, you know, most Christians and Islam, the Christians did the same thing, the Jews did the same thing. This is just part of maturing as a religion. That's what is your reaction to that, trying to equate Christianity, Judaism to what we're seeing now with radical Islam? The
atrocities and excesses, violence in the Christian world was about 500 years ago. When it comes to Islam, it's today. You know, turn on the television and you'll see Shias killing Sunnis and Sunnis killing Shias in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq. You know, every day in Europe they foil, almost every day they foil a plot of someone trying to cause harm in the name of Islam. It's happening now. That's not in history books. So we need to act now.
Yeah, and I don't say going back to the Crusades or trying to get relevance in ancient Christianity really works. It's a really important book. Take tremendous risk in being here. I see the posse you travel with. You're taking tremendous risk in being out front. You deserve tremendous credit. It's called Heretic, Why Islam Needs a Reformation Now. Ayaan Hirsi Ali, thanks so much for writing it.
Thank you so much. Thank
powerful women at the forefront leading the charge, what I think is significant for other Muslim women.
Yeah, you're always welcome here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.